and welcome to Forever Red Devils for the Thursday night. This is your latest Manchester United news and updates. And coming up on the show, going to be talking about Marcus Rashford and Casemiro's trip to Americas and the criticism that they have gotten forward, whether it's fair or not. We're going to be talking about Robert Lewandowski, who's revealed why he didn't move to United. We're going to be talking about Joshua Zirkzee potentially being on the way out, as well as the latest transfer updates on Jared Braithwaite, as well as 17-year-old Sporting star Quinde. So lots to get through. And if you are new to the channel, please do smash a like on the video. First of all, please do subscribe to the channel and let me know if you have any other sort of requests about certain content, stuff like that to do. We have got the press conference happening tomorrow afternoon, so we will have the first opportunity for journalists to engage with Ruben Amorim and find out where he's at with the squad, for example. Hopefully get a really good injury update, or at least just a current update. And, understand where we are going into this weekend. A huge opportunity this weekend. You do feel that a win this weekend doesn't put us back on track for the season altogether, for example. Doesn't sort of, remove the poor start we've had. But you look at the games happening. City versus Tottenham, for example. Liverpool away to Southampton. You expect Liverpool to get a result there. Arsenal home to Nottingham Forest. But Leicester versus Chelsea. A lot of the big teams going away this weekend, and we'll actually know exactly the situation is come Sunday. Ipswich versus United, 6:30. We'll know kind of where we're at, and if any of those sort of teams drop some points, United's got a prime opportunity to get themselves in that sort of top 5, 6, even top 4 race. Well, we're already in the top 4 race, so we're only 4 points behind, but sort of get ourselves up to that top half of the table for the first time, really, this season. And you need to go on a bit of a run now. We had the interim manager bounce. Now we need a bit of a new manager bounce, and then we're going to try and carry that momentum through and really fight to be in the top half of the table. By Christmas, for example, top 4, hopefully by the end of the season. Let's get into it, shall we? So Gary Neville on the overlap and a couple of other pundits, Ian Rice and the likes, heavily criticised Marcus Rashford. Well, Gary Neville heavily criticised Marcus Rashford and Casemiro for jetting off to America during the international break on their 3-4 days that they have off. And Rashford was pictured going to basketball, for example, and they received a lot of flack for it. Now, Ian Wright defended them, and funny enough, so did Roy Keane, talking about the fact that this is the current game, this is how players do it now. He really needs that mental break, and I think that's a very, very good point. I personally have no issue with it whatsoever. We're talking about a player who cannot get away from anything in the UK. Get yourself out of the situation. Go and reset. I find the criticism really, really, really poor and very outdated. This is the modern game. These are how the modern players, live their lives and adapt. And whether or not it's the same as when you were there, things change. And I think Ian Wright, make a very good point. You can talk about 12 hours, the jet lag, the whole thing. That's not the issue at the moment. At the end of the day, Marcus Rashford, went overseas to the USA and he went to watch a basketball trip. But that was last week. He's going to be back for a full week this week. He's in training. He was in training on Monday. So it's not like, I thought it was just so poor. You talk about international break. They're not playing on Wednesday. They didn't play yesterday, for example, traveling back on Thursday, going to be jet lagged for Sunday. They were back on training on Monday. So I just think it's the dumbest criticism ever. We're talking about players who are under both those players under a lot of pressure at the moment, had a really poor time at the moment. And, if they got away together. They both traveled and they went to go watch a basketball game. And why not? At the end of the day, why not? These guys have got the money. They would have chartered a plane, for example. It would have been a private jet. It would have been the comfort of comfort. They would have probably stepped for half the way there. And again, they were back in training on Monday. They've got a full week of preparation ahead of them. What is there to complain about? It's this whole consistently going after players for the most menial things. They're not out there partying. And, there weren't videos of Marcus Rashford falling down drunk and, doing drugs and the whole thing. He went to a freaking basketball game. And for all we know, he was back at a reasonable time. He was probably in the gym during the day. And, it's just people are waiting for them to sort of slip up. And it just frustrates me because, yes, they're not playing well, but, we've got so many other people to So another reason to criticize people going to a basketball game and using your time and a bit of time off that you do get to get yourself away, I think is actually a really good thing. And if Marcus Rashford thinks that going and watching basketball games is the best thing he to do for his mental health, for his mental state and the likes, he must go and do it. He must go and enjoy himself, go and spend some time away. I said, get away from the UK and go and experience something. So I think the criticism is really poor. I think that a lot of it didn't really make sense. They basically spoke about the fact that they've given themselves an international break, but it's not, because they're back in Manchester by the weekend, this past weekend, not this coming weekend, and they'll have a full week to prepare. So, as far as we know, that they've trained pretty well. We don't know that they haven't, and they're going to be fully fit and fired this weekend. To sit there and suggest that if Marcus Rashford has a bad game on Sunday, that it's completely because, he went to a basketball game last weekend is pretty dumb. To be perfectly honest, that's where I am at. So I'll be interested to know what everybody else thinks. Is this an poor taste? Should they be allowed to go and do these things and get themselves out and go? As far as I'm concerned, they should. They're under a lot of pressure. Yes, they get paid millions of pounds and the likes of that. But let's not pretend that they're not under pressure. Let's not pretend they don't see what goes on social media and the likes of that. And at the end of the day, these guys are human beings. They need to be allowed to relax a little bit. So you can jump on the bandwagon. We can all have absolute rage bait about how unprofessional it is for them to go. At the end of the day, they need to do what they think is the best to get themselves right. Now, if they think, this could work, maybe the 4-day reset is exactly what Rashford needs. He basically sort of take himself away from football for 4 days, even if it's just for 4 days. Just completely get yourself away from football. And then on the plane back, you sit there, right, when I land, bang, it's time now. We had an international break. I'm feeling fresh. I'm feeling ready. I enjoyed myself the last few days. I'm ready to really get back into the business and really go and hit the ground running and get going with Ruben Amorim. The alternative could have been him sitting at home, reading social media about, you got 2 weeks now. Everybody talking about how bad United are and how poor he's been in the likes, sitting at home not doing anything. So maybe this is exactly what he needs. And I really hope it is. So I just think that the criticism is really poor taste. I think it's pretty irrelevant. And I don't think it's going to make any difference to their performance this weekend whatsoever. So, yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents. I'd be interested to know what everybody else has to say about that, but I personally have zero issue with it whatsoever. I don't really see what the point of the criticism is. Moving away from that, let's look at some transfer rumors, because there are quite a few stories floating around, potential acquisitions, transfer that didn't happen. And a very, very interesting one is Robert Lewandowski. So Ferdinand asked him about the fact that he was almost signed for United. And Lewandowski said, I decided to join Manchester United in 2012. He said, I remember the conversation that was in the before preseason. We were playing some games. I knew they was going to call me. At halftime, I subbed off because I knew I was playing 45 minutes. I had the call, and that time, my English, that was on a different level. So Ferdinand said, so why didn't you sign? And Lewandowski said, ask the club, He says, no, I remember that time. I remember also the conversation with the president of Dortmund. He said to me, they need him, and they're not going to sell me to Manchester United because I'm so important, and it's not enough. It's not the perfect time now. So he did say yes to United, but it never really happened. Imagine it had happened, signing the best striker of the last decade. It could have been absolutely glorious. Once again, ask the club is a telltale sign. Charlie finally just fumbled it. And he would have been exactly what United needed. He's still exactly what United need, to be honest. A world-class striker, a world-class goal scorer that knows how to find the back of the net, and that's all we really want from strikers. But that's kind of what we haven't gotten from a lot of our strikers in the last few years. And Rasmus Højlund, 15 goals I think it was last season, really good season for a first season, and I was really impressed with him. And he started to come good, but we need someone who's got 30 goals in them in the season. And Lewandowski would have been exactly that type of player had we managed to get that deal over the line. So not to be, but what it could have meant if we did manage to get that. Another rumor is that Juventus are apparently looking to bring in Joshua Zirkzee. Now, this is a signing that hasn't really worked for United so far. Big money signing, and he's found the net once. And look, not big money, not massive money, but decent money. Now, apparently Juventus are struggling to convince Dusan Vlahovic to stay at the club and are looking for potential replacements and have lined up Joshua Zirkzee as an option, and apparently looking at as soon as January. So interesting in the form of if Zirkzee goes, for example, that then opens the door for another strike in the summer. Lots of talk about Zirkzee, but I'll be very surprised if United were to let go of Joshua Zirkzee after just 6 months. I think that he'll be given a proper chance under Amorim, and if it still doesn't work, then maybe we cut our ties in the summer next year. But I don't see him moving away right now and in January, to be perfectly honest. And another one, though, speaking of January signings, is that apparently we are investigating the potential signing of Jarrad Brathwaite in January, which is very surprising. We've inquired about him over in the summer, and we were told a very, very big fee, and we said not no. We went to actually spent probably the similar amount of money, slightly less money, but a lot of money on Lenny Euro, and brought him in. We then went and bought Matthias de Ligt. So we went and bought some centre backs. Now we continue to be linked with Jarrad Brathwaite, probably long-term sort of Harry Maguire replacement, really. But we had a 45 million bid turned down, and apparently the United board are exploring a 70 million January deal for international. I just don't see why we splashed the money, to be honest. Not now, not in January. We've got defenders. Yes, we've had some injury issues, lots of injury issues, but Johnny Evans has actually coped pretty well. And Lenny Euro has been theory back. Maguire should be back soon. So I think we've got more than enough defenders to get through the end of the season. And I think that going and splashing £70 million will be everything against the kind of transfer strategy we're trying to now adopt. And we're not. I suppose it is also one of those things. From a level point of view, Jarrad Brathwaite being linked to other teams, like even Real Madrid, have been potentially linked to trying to get him in. So he's in demand, and other teams are looking at him. But right now, I think there are far more pressing issues for United than adding the likes of a Jarrad Brathwaite. Because we've got to look at making sure that we've got a 30-goal strike coming in. I do think we need to look at another forward, for example. We need to understand in terms of the system that Amorim wants to play, who slots in where. We desperately needed a left back rather than a centre back. And as I said, I think there's far more pressing issues right now for United than centre back, and to bring Jarrad Brathwaite and £70 million just sounds a little bit silly. I just don't think it'll happen. I don't see why we would go that way. Another signing that United are looking for is Sporting winger, teenage sensation Giovanni Quenda, who has obviously played under Ruben Amorim, made his debut in August, and has already been called up to the Portuguese squad. So the big thing that United are talking about is the fact that looking at going after Zirkzee and Quenda. So he's got a contract until 2027. So he's another 3 years, or 2 years once we get to the summer. 17 years old, so still very young, only in this debut season. One imagines it would still be quite a big price. And I'll be very interested to know what the conversations that had happened between United and Sporting regarding Amorim going after their former players like Victor Zirkzee and the likes. He looks like a very good player, this Quenda. Left-footed, plays on the wing, obviously knows the Amorim system and works in it. We don't really have a left-footed wing option at the moment, so he would fit in quite well. But I'd be very surprised if we managed to burgle this in the summer. But we'll probably go for one of the two of them. I'll be very surprised if we don't at least them in a bid or try go for them. It's one of those things, if Ruben Amorim wants them, if they're going to go anywhere, then you might as well get them to United. From a Sporting point of view, you wouldn't really mind if they're going to go anywhere. But that's the big if. So there are quite a lot of transfer rumors sort of floating around at the moment. And I'll be interested to know what they say. What Ruben Amorim says when he gets asked, what's the decision, what's the plan for the January transfer window? Are they going to go into the market, for example? Are they going to, just deal with what they've got? So very interesting to see what their plan is and when they can start to sign signings and what kind of budget that he might be on. So yeah, let's talk about it. We'll be back live tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock as always. And we'll also be live shortly after the Ruben Amorim press conference to give you guys an update on exactly what went down during the press conference. So please make sure that you earmark 2 o'clock. We'll probably be live by about 2:15, just off the press conference. We'll have updates from Ruben Amorim and what's had to say live on the channel, so make sure you join us then. Please do smash the like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.